What's going on, fellow humans and resellers? It is I, James, redoptionagency.com, 22 years selling full-time on eBay. It is Friday. So we get to see what the top 5 categories of the week are. I'm going to talk about a change I made. I'm going to talk about a topic that kind of putting yesterday's evening's video up kind of clicked in my head and made me delete the video because of a couple of comments. Well, I'll get to that. Not hater comments, just something that triggered something in me. And then I saw a show about it all last night, and that is reincarnation. So we're going to talk about reincarnation in the oddball hour of the video as I'm shipping. And then sold a high dollar item that I just put up yesterday from that video that I made private. So it already sold. So yesterday, it seems like every 6th or 7th day on eBay, I'm getting this lull day where I'm having like blank hours in the middle of the day, throughout the day, where nothing's coming through. Every 6th or 7th day. One was for the past 3-ish, not weeks, but I guess technically weeks. 386. Then we were like at 393. Actually, I guess 4 now. Then 379. Then yesterday was 414. So it's like every 6 or 7 days I'm getting those days that have a lot of blank hours throughout the day. Not sure what that indicates or anything yet. So yesterday only made it up to $414. And then the traffic is the reason, and one of the reasons why I decided to make a change. So the day before yesterday, I had 45 sold, 8 organic, 37 promoted. Yesterday, only 23 sold, 7 organic, 16 promoted. So those 2 big gaps with low organic, to me, in my mind, I'm thinking it's because of putting the clothing at 15%, and it's putting a lot more sales in my promoted and not taking away from my organic. So I'm like, I don't like that feeling. So I decided to drop my clothing and shoes and hats from 15 down to 10%. So we still got 5% on under $10, 7% over $10, and then now we've got clothing, shoes, and hats all at 10%. So those are the 3 different categories I'm using right now. More about trying to find that even spot, but yet still have good sales coming in. Another reason I decided to change it, the second reason, is my numbers for last week. So last week's numbers, $4,688, down 5.1% from the week before. The selling cost is at 50%, but that's including that $300 from the store fee, since it's the first of the month. So it's always a little higher that first week. And then also having the clothes and that at 15%. So what that would really set at without that $300, I'd have to do the math to figure it out. But I guess it would be 300. It would be about 10% less, 40. So maybe in the 40, around 40, probably a little over 40, I guess. Early morning math thinking. And then my net sales, $2,063, down 27%. So even though I was down 5.1 in total sales, my net sales was down 27%. I'm like, nope. Strike number 2 on the close at 15%. So that's the second strike. Quantity sold, 278 items, up 11%. Average sale price per item down. As expected, I knew it would go back down. $17, down 15%. With the media, combining order media thing I got going on. So. And then the top 5 items sold for the week, categories. Now, the third strike was when I checked this yesterday about midday. I wanted to kind of look to see if any other clothing items was jumping up any, and I saw none that was jumping up abnormally from putting them at 15%. That being said, we do have one change of clothing that did jump up, but it's been there before. So it's number 5 on the list, getting back into the season, is Major League Baseball items. $133, up 20%. Number 4, men's t-shirts. So, that's a category I've been working on and trying to get up anyway. Number 4 is that $243, up 175%. So that was pretty much the main jump at the clothing of 15%. It's been up here before, but 175% up from last week. So that was the only indication that I got beyond the hats that my clothing was moving. Definitely saw an increase in t-shirts and hats. So number 3, cassette tapes. $355, down 46% on cassette tapes. That is the only one of the top 5 that's actually down this week. Down drastically too. Number 2, music CDs. $747, up 43%. And then number 1, men's hats. $1,157, up 57%. So it definitely gave me better sales on the hats and the t-shirts. What I didn't like, the fact that it was giving me so little organic sales that it drove my net sales drastically down. That I did not like. Should I give it another week? Maybe so, being that every 6 or 7 days I have those lull days. But you know what? I don't want to live at 15% anymore anyway. So we'll take it down to 10, see what happens within this. We'll definitely keep it at least this full week, have a full week at 10%, so at least see what it will produce, and then decide, okay, do I try to go down to 9, or do I try to go up to 11 and try to find that perfect number? So that will dictate the next move on that front. So I think I'm happy right now with everything else the way it is at 5 and 7. Seems pretty steady and consistent. When everything was at that level, I was getting the consistent numbers I liked, and everything was moving in a positive direction. So this is the first time that things have gone in a negative direction, and one of the reasoning is because I jumped the close up to 15%. So we'll rectify that and see what happens this next week. Now, if it goes up at 10%, then that's what we're hoping for. So we'll see. We shall see. And when I say up, I mean total sales and net sales, though. Today, thus far, we are at 10:12 a.m. and I am at $169. So the day's starting out a lot better than it did yesterday. And a lot of that, though, is one sale. I guess about a little less than half of that is one sale. Number of items sold today so far. 6 items, 5 organic, 1 promoted. So already seeing that different layout there. I did 7 organic yesterday, 8 the day before. I'm already at 5 at least right now. That could always correct itself if it says, nope, I'm a promoted item, not an organic, and change. That can technically happen. So, ba-da-bum-bum. All right, so let's See if I pulled everything. I believe I did. I think I got 3 items that I've pulled out of storage lately that sold. So we'll do the purchase shipping labels. We'll check some questions and comments. And that's going to Canada. The one that I put up yesterday. So that will be the last one we ship. Questions and comments. So happy for you all if you are able to get another fur baby. He's gorgeous. Best wishes. What a cutie pie. One more day, Courtney. Thanks for describing your listing process. I am having several difficulties listing after working 12-hour days. Every single video helps me and motivates me to keep going. Don't change your videos, thumbnails, or anything. Dude, you rock. Yeah, see, that from yesterday, I went ahead and changed the thumbnails, and the other ones, I just made them whatever screenshot was showing and just put in a generic title. Like, I started thinking too much. I don't want to put that much time into something that only garners me $700 a month, you know? I'd rather spend the time thinking of a topic or something to at least talk about when I'm shipping. So trying to make sure I still stay engaged enough to do the videos every day. From a personal standpoint, the fact that I want to help people, I always tell myself every day, James, you're just repeating yourself. You're sounding like every other cookie cutter YouTuber now. You're just repeating the same stuff you've said on thousands of videos prior. Okay, not thousands, but you know what I mean. You've already said everything you need to say. You're just repeating yourself. And for me personally, I don't like the way that feels in me. So putting a little effort into maybe thinking about a topic to talk about, I guess I'd rather do that than worry about the thumbnail and stuff and all that crap. So, congratulations. So exciting. I know exactly what you were saying around the 19-minute mark, thinking ahead, having a weird memory, can't remember anything actively, but a smell, sound, words, ideas will remind you of a time or event, and suddenly you can remember every detail. But it's never a choice, it just happens. Yeah, true. I could go on and on. I've met very, very few like us. I would bet money you had a hard childhood and low-key autistic with a very high IQ. That's the similarities I've noticed between people who say the same. I don't know. I avoided tests as a kid. I even never took the high school test, whatever that was, to get you into college or whatever. Because I'd taken tests in schools. So in high school, I boycotted them. I'm like, I never see the results of these tests. What are they doing for me? So I literally boycotted those big tests in high school that they would take you all to the cafeteria to do. I didn't do them. I tell them, I'm not doing it. If I do it, I'm just doodling on this page. It's not going to mean nothing. So they would just take the paper and have me sit there until the first other person was done and can leave, and then I could leave with them. So I just always boycotted them. I'm like, because I never saw the results for them. What do they do? I didn't know. Nobody's ever taught me what they did. They say they do something to help you get into college and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, who's going to pay for my college? Help me get in college. You're going to pay for it? You know, that's the way I looked at it. So I just always boycotted them. So I don't know anything about IQ and stuff like that. I've always just hated taking tests because they just seem pointless. So I have always avoided them. I know nothing about autistic, so I don't even know what autistic technically means. I'm not a big fan of like labeling things. I think that's just because I like people's uniqueness. Why you gotta, that's why I've always said, the way I grew up, I didn't see black and white. And now people will say, well, you're racist if you don't see black. I'm like, no, I saw people as people. There's just humans with a different life, different experiences. That's all I ever saw. So I never really liked the whole label on people and stuff. And if I say anything now, it's more just to describe a person, to give you a mental image, you know, since we're on video, basically talking. So via words, I guess you could say, just to paint a picture, if you will. But like the kid I grew up with, who was like I said before, I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood. You know, we had a kid who couldn't talk, Jerry. We called him Noopy. We knew what he was saying all the time. And he was always, you know, engaged in all of our activities and such. Grew up with a family of small, little people. I mean, and then every nationality and every type of person was just in our neighborhood. So I always saw everybody as just unique individuals, period, end of story type of thing, right? Like I never felt it was my job to label anybody anything, because for me, labeling them takes away from their identity. Not seeing it takes away from it. No, me labeling it takes away from their identity as a human being. So I don't know. But you know, back in the 80s and stuff, in the 70s, it was different times, you know. So it was, even though things were less labeled, it was less controlled. Yes, it was probably less help that some people probably needed. So that's at least a positive that's come out of it. Things are recognized and steps can be made to help a person better off. You know, like a person who can't speak, you know they can't speak. So how do you make their life better? Well, then everything too, from if there is an autistic type person, whatever, like I said, I'm not even sure exactly the details of what that means. At least now I'm guessing there's things to help make their life easier. So that's at least the positive thing from it. But the negative for me is just the way people view humans these days. They try to make it feel like it's supposed to be more inclusive humankind. Yet every day you see politicians and media dividing. So using those as tools, as weapons. Anytime that you break a label down and separate somebody, it becomes a weapon for the politicians and the media and stuff to create more anger and hate and battling and all that BS. So, yeah. I like it because it helps, but it weaponizes it also. People weaponize it. Some people weaponize it. That's the part I don't like. If you withhold shipping on a return, that is a partial return, and yes, they can and will leave negative feedback. No, I don't think they can. Once you once that feedback or that return is closed out, if they did leave negative feedback, it erases. And I'm pretty sure the partial is the same thing. It's the act of opening a return and then closing it. That, unless something changed that I didn't know about, you cannot do that. It cannot be done. Oh, sweetness, I hope Courtney accepts you into the fold. Yeah, I think Courtney will accept the new dog. My concern is how will the new dog act to her, because her happiness comes first. So if this dog abuses her in any way, it's a no-go. It's, sorry, I'm not even going to bother with trying to train the dog if it, say, attacked her or was aggressive toward her. No, it's just end of story, not going to work. She's probably only got a couple of years left, if that, and we're not going to put her through that. So I think it's more about how the other pup will treat her. She's friendly and will play with anybody. Like the story I told you, trying to play with the cat. So, all right, let's get some stuff shipped. First up, we've got this profound I can't pronounce that word. Aesthetic company. Is it aesthetic? It's not aesthetic. Or is it aesthetic? Maybe it's aesthetic. Profound Aesthetic Company. Yeah. So for $8, headed to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I think that was the thing about school. Like in school, I was the person who always asked questions. I was the one that they would label a disturbance just because I was asking questions on the contrary. I had one teacher, I remember, who he enjoyed that I did that. He pushed for me to ask the questions that I was asking. He encouraged it. Question everything type of thing. But for the most part, everything else I was, basically looked at as kind of the nuisance and pushed to the back of the class and stuff and things like that. So I never really took to school. I always felt it was more mind control indoctrination, is that the right word? Than it was actually teaching people life skills and stuff. And I have no idea where that mindset came from. Because, my parents, they just... my mom was a stay-at-home mom who cleaned the house, cooked dinner, and sat at the kitchen table all day. And kept us inside until I was 15 years old. So we were very sheltered, there was not much going on in the household. Couldn't afford much, so it was pretty just a lot of time to think. Maybe that was it. Not sure where it came from. I guess it's just part of the DNA of a person, I guess. We got Most Wanted DVD, sold for $8, headed to New Mexico. Which kind of brings me into the reincarnation thing. Do you guys believe in reincarnation? So, yesterday I put up the video about going into my storage area. And a couple people talked about fire hazard. And I'm like, don't put that bad juju on me. So I ended up making the video private just because people were saying fire hazard. For some reason in my life, I've always been highly concerned of house fire. All my life. I've always been the person to make sure to check all the sockets, all the things to make sure there was no dust accumulating, that there was no paper laying by a strip, that they were separated, nothing could ignite. I've always been that person to be very concerned with that. For some reason or another, I have no reason why. I've never been involved in a fire. The closest I've been was houses on the street have burned in a bad neighborhood. That usually happens. But always something about the smell always triggered something in my head. So I've always just had this weird thing with house fire. So I've always questioned, if reincarnation is real, I wonder if I had something to do with house fires in a previous life, whether I died in one, whether I was a firefighter or something. I always question, why is this ingrained into my head, into my DNA, if you will? Why? I never could figure out why. Wateska? Something Farmer's Grain hat. I've been in the store for a little while, so I took an offer for $10 on it. This is what I mean by vintage stuff has really dropped off lately. Like before, this would have sold in no time. And this has been in the store for at least a year. Headed to New York. But, so I thought about just deleting the video, or just deleting those comments. Because for me, it's like, please don't put that juju on me. But I just said, well, if 2 people saying that, more people's going to say it. I'm just not showing the video. I'm not superstitious, really, but I do believe that if you put something out in the universe enough, it can happen. So that's the last thing I want to happen to me. I don't know. There's just something there. And I always feared, instead of like thinking reincarnation wise, I always feared maybe I was seeing the future. So that's another reason why, no, please don't put that on me. Because I've been able to do that in the past, knowing when something was going to happen. So I've always worried that, am I going to be a part of something like that in this life? And that's always worried me also. If it's not something from a past life, is it something I'm seeing that I'm going to go through eventually in this life? Is that how I'm going to die in this life, type of thing? Vesophysis? I have no idea what that is either. So for $10.50, headed to Mesa, Arizona. So that was the only reason why I took that video down. I don't play when it comes to that. Because it scares me. It worries me. And I'm out of tape. Where's the box at? There it is right there. And it is not a... Where did he find that roll if he didn't open the box? Huh. So I was watching this show, I think it was from 2015, called Unexplained Things. And I had these people on there talking about, who believe in reincarnation, and they believe they were reincarnated. And of course, they were all labeled as, what were they labeled as? Not psychics, but that realm of people. Not spiritual, but like one I think was a psychologist or something, was a hypnotist, which I don't believe in hypnotism. Wasn't psychic, but it was the word similar to that that's used sometimes. But anyway, so these people all thought that they were born again, reincarnated. Which, like I said, I'm up to the idea. And one of the reasons why I am up to the idea is because of, actually, children. Because to me, like I've always said before, like, why do I say like so much? The innocence of children, there's just something about it that I'm very protective of, and animals. It's the pure innocence of the beginning of life. And then I've seen stories where kids have talked about, where they can talk to ghosts or something like that, where, well, my friend says this or that, and they're talking to nobody, but yet they're talking to somebody. So I always love that just that brand new innocence into life. And there's been kids who talk about memories from a past life. And these are kids. Like, where were they? Either they're real good actors or they're telling the truth type of thing, right? And when you take a 4-year-old or 5-year-old, it's a pretty good chance it's not an acting routine. There's something to it. So I've always taken it like there's got to be something to it that these kids are. And then you get kind of your innocence stripped in this life, and all that kind of stuff just goes out the window. So those are the reasons I kind of believe that it's possible, because of the children. But these two of the people on this show. All right, this is a Fingerprint Diary. This is a local band. Every time I get it lately, I've been putting it up and it's been selling. I've been pulling it from storage. Paid 15 cents from that who knows how many years ago. This is the second one I've sold in the last couple months, I believe. Or a few months or something. Headed to Marion, Illinois, sold for $21. But these two people on there, and I don't remember, the one lady thought she was this old Hollywood star. I don't even remember her name. She died young from an unexplained incident. And then the guy she was dating was shot in the head, made it look like a suicide, but he was technically really murdered or something like that. So this lady thinks that she's reincarnated from that person, and then the psychiatrist person or whoever he was, the hypnosis guy. She thought that he was her husband in the past life. And the thing that turned me off from their story was, he's like, well, I did facial recognition from our faces now to the faces then, and they're a match. And they put side-by-side pictures up, and okay, they've got similar facial features. He shaves his mustache similar to the way the other guy did. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what does reincarnation have to do with your outer DNA? How are you're sitting there saying you've done hypnosis from somebody who thinks they were a groundhog, who's a human now, but you're telling me because you think you look like somebody that you're that person reincarnated. Huh? That's where it threw me off. I'm like, come on now. Where do you get that you're going to look like somebody and that means you're reincarnated? Science would say that that's the DNA from your mother and father, not that DNA from a previous life. That scientifically makes no sense. And I'm not saying science is perfect. Trust me. Science is what we think we know using what we think we know. So science is not 100%. But you're contradicting yourself by saying you have people who think they were this, but yet look nothing like what they are today, but yet you think you are because you look like them. That don't go well. So there's a lot of, and that's why, like when it comes to hypnotism and psychics and all that kind of stuff, there are, I believe, situations where people can tap into things, because I've weirdly done it and don't even understand it. But there are also more fakes than not. We got another Juan's DVD set came from storage. Sold for $14, headed to Maine. Oh, so they just rubbed me wrong in that show just because of that story alone. I'm just like, that comparison blew all their credibility for me out the window. So, like, I'll be open to your idea until you lose me. Boat naked, drop your drawers and dip your oars. So for $14.40, headed to Indiana. And I've been, like I said, open to the subject, like thinking things like, okay, when my mom died was 2009, so the kid would be, 10, 11, 12, going on 15 years old today. So my mom could be reincarnated and be in like a 15-year-old body today type of thing. I've always kind of thought about it like that. Like, would you ever meet somebody and something about, well, I should say somebody meets you and something about them goes, I know you from somewhere. And even though there's a million ways to know people these days, pass them in public, online, whatever. Like the possibility that your mother runs into you as a 15-year-old boy or something, Like, I don't know, it's just kind of a cool, like, sometimes to think about, just to have my mind travel in a different direction, if you will. Crane rental hat, sold for $11, headed to Long Beach, California. When I get my mind set into, the exploration of different ideas and thoughts and stuff. I probably should let more shows play in the background while I work. You guys always recommend me people and videos and stuff to watch. And every once in a while I'll throw one on. But I've always said I don't like contaminating my own mind with other people's thoughts or theories. But hell, I'm 53 years old now. I should start opening up, and I've had long enough to think of my own. Let's see what other people have to say and see if that opens up a new portal in my mind or something. So, I mean, if I'm a pretty much, I'm enough of a skeptic that I can, I'm enough of a skeptic but I can weed out the BSers. Or at least think that I am anyway. Stephen? Let me take that off. Sure. Another dinosaur toy. Well, if offers are going to load today. There you go. You did it. Last U.S. item, we got the Chicago Bulls cap. Sold for $9, headed to Michigan. Like, I'm trying to find something now to put out into the universe and test my, because I always believe that if you think of something enough, you're going to do the things. It's not really technically the universe that's going to bring you the things. It's the fact that you're making yourself aware of it consistently, that you consciously and subconsciously do things to obtain that goal within yourself. That's why I believe that too many people give too much power to religion and stuff like that, like do something for me, pray, etc., because I believe they have it within themselves to do it, or to, instead of praying that somebody gets better, visit them every day, hold their hand every day, talk with them every day, make them smile every day. The power of a smile, the power of a laugh, the power of a friend can cure a lot of depressions, suicides, and sure, not everyone, but a lot. Finding that thing that person needs or is dying to have, literally dying to have. And of course, it's obviously not going to be 100% success rate. But I believe you have a lot more power. People have a lot more power within them than they give themselves credit for. And for me, like the power of a prayer would be best done in unison with others if those others take action as human beings. You know what I mean? Not expecting something to be done for them from a higher power, if you will, or the universe or energy or whatever, but actually using their own energy to physically go and talk to somebody and make them laugh and make them smile and make them feel loved and such. I guess what I'm just saying is, like, I guess I always kind of go down this road, don't I? The power of the mind is so underestimated and so underutilized by the society we are in today. And a lot of it, I believe, is because of the society we live in today. It's almost been constructed to take us out of that mental place, to make us focus on XYZ for society instead of ABC for energy, spirituality, religion, whatever you want to call it, the power that you hold within you as this thing. There's more to what you are than just being what you are. What is that? You are not born just to work a 9 to 5, eat, sleep, 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 work a 9 to 5. You know what I mean, though? And like I said, I'm not a religious person. I'm not even really a spiritual person. I never gave all. I'm just more of an energy person. To me, it's energy. And energy is the most powerful thing in the universe. And we so underutilize it. I do believe. Beep, 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 beep. Like, I don't believe in like a heaven and hell per se, but your energy goes somewhere. Where does that energy go? Can that energy go? Does that energy come back into another life form? Can that energy wander the universe aimlessly? Does it have choices? Can it make choices? Does it have thoughts? Will it remember the experiences you went through in this life? I've got questions with no answers, but I'm always looking for those answers. Or at least trying to figure out what those answers could be. probably never get the answers, but I like playing with the theories of what the answers could be. Simon. The power of the mind. Tonight on James TV. Like, I'm always the person who has always spent my, not a lot of time, just every once in a while when I think about it, I'm like, okay, you always hear people using their mind to move stuff, right? All right, so how can you manipulate energy in such a way to make it come out of your body and actually physically move an item? Like, how would you do that? And then does that coexist with when the energy leaves your body, and why a lot of spirits, quote unquote, ghosts, quote unquote, can or can't interact with us as humans because they don't know how or can't physically use that energy to manipulate something. So it's like, okay, how can you do that as a human so that you, if there is a possibility of doing it after the body's dead, like how, what do you have to tap in to be able to do that? I think about weird shit. I'm sorry. All right. The last item I pulled out in that video yesterday, and I'm surprised it actually sold overnight, honestly. And that is that Motley Crue promo CD single. This is what made me pull out that box. Mostly because I'm a big Crue fan. This was part of my personal collection back in the day, I guess. How it got in that box, I have no idea. Because I remember, I don't know if I even bought it from there. I went to that store one time. It was in Springfield, Missouri. So I don't know if this was just, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how it got into that box. But I was thinking, hopefully I'll get 30, 40 bucks out of it. The last one sold on Discogs. No. Yeah, the last one sold on Discogs 30 or something maybe. Actually, I don't remember. There was people that wanted it on Discogs. Checked eBay. Nothing. Let me just check eBay sold. $70. I'm like, oh, that's a nice one. So I think it was like 30 or 40. Then it's 70 on eBay. I'm like, let's just put up for $99. And it sold with my 10% off. So it sold for $90. Headed to Canada. Where is my mailers? She's a teaser. She's a teaser, and she's got no heart at all. She's a teaser, and she'll tell you. Giro packs, if you need bubble mailers, poly bags, Giro pack link below. Affiliate link, please use it. They pay me a little bit of money if you do. Same with the Vendu link below. If you want to start cross-listing, please use that. All right, so there we go. Guess I'll go ahead and throw this one in a box since it's headed up to Canada. And it's $90. She's a tease. And she's got... Oh, you already went off. I was going to save you. She's a teaser. And she's got no heart at all. Alrighty. Today I am cleaning the house. Being that 8x6x4, being that Pee-wee has gotten into food at his house, obviously with the peanut situation. I'll make sure I have no food near my counters. Whoops, put it in the wrong spot. Just in case I gotta make sure I get him trained not to get up on a counter. And then also I started thinking this morning too, I've got to realize that this puppy's life's going to change. For its own year and a half of its life, it's known 2 people, one passed away, and now the other one's giving him away. So I got to remember that. Why is that making me sad? Damn it. Just saying that's making me tear up. But I guess that's good to at least recognize that. And the fact that it makes me tear up means that I know, at least subconsciously, I am aware of that and will do what I can to comfort the puppy. Because his life's changing. How will that makes me sad. How will that affect the puppy? Will it make him act out more? Will it make him be more, subdued? Is that the right word? Be more cautious? Will it make him attach himself more to either Courtney or myself? These are all questions. Questions I ask. Questions I wonder. So it will definitely be about giving him a lot of attention and a lot of structure. A lot more out of the gate than, is probably really necessary for a normal dog or whatever. But so I just got to be aware of that. So he's had no more issues with seizures or anything, so really do believe that the peanuts were the cause of it all. Or whatever else he got into with the peanuts. Like I said, if he got into 3 bags of peanuts, which ain't doing his digestive system anything good, who knows what else he got into at the same time. So that'll be the first thing that I got to break, probably. Make sure that he stays out of stuff that he's not supposed to get into. Alrighty, we're going on 11 a.m. Not sure if that one's registered yet. Right now we're at $221. Got all all my scan form. eBay printed up again last night. Yay. I got 2 CDs to resurface here. What did I pull that went in there? I don't remember. What's up, baby girl? I gotta record or resurface these CDs real quick. Okay, still at 221, so maybe that is registered. All right, that is all, folks. That is all, folks. Thanks everybody for hanging out. And of course, it is the weekend, but I'm sure I'll have some new videos, hopefully, of Pee-wee and Courtney together. Hopefully enjoying each other's company. And pictures, of course, too. So keep an eye out for that. And I think that's everything. $221. So starting off for a good day. All right. See you all in the next video. Thanks. Later.